Hello, my name is Philippe Girard, and I am a professor in the history department at McNeese State University.
I am Janet Alluret, also a professor in the history department. Welcome to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS, where we explore the lives of famous women in history.
Welcome, and bienvenue à nos amis francophones. Ceci est la radio de l'Université McNeese.
On the program today, music and history as we retrace the life of a remarkable woman who stood up to radical Islam. She became a world-renowned advocate of education. She won the Nobel Prize, and all of this she did by age 17.
Her name is Malala Yousafzai. But first, a song. I have an eclectic mix planned for us today, starting with the best-selling Middle Eastern artist of all time, Amr Diab. This is his hit from 2013, and it's entitled El Leila. This was El Leila by Amr Diab. My name is Philippe Girard.
And I'm Janet Alluret, and we're both in the history department at McNeese.
Today we're covering the life of Malala Yousafzai. Her life so far, I should add, because she's very much a person of our times. She was only born in 1997.
And that sets her apart from the other women we have profiled on the show, all of whom lived decades or even centuries ago. But she is an integral part of our history, which is unfolding as we speak.
That's the great thing about history. They keep making more of it every day.
And we're having a hard time pronouncing her last name, so we'll refer to her mostly by her first name, Malala.
Malala means grief-stricken, which unfortunately applies to her life to some extent.
She was born a member of the Pashtun group in Pakistan. In addition to Pashto, she also learned Urdu and English.
And we have to credit her father for her educational successes. He owns a chain of private schools in Pakistan, and he is quite the educational activist himself.
As such, education would seem like an easy cause to champion, like motherhood and apple pie. Everybody wants to support education, right?
Well, not everyone, unfortunately. The use of Malala coincided with the rise of the Taliban in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And they promoted a very conservative understanding of Islamic law, complete with public beheadings and a ban on all Western culture.
They're the ones who hosted Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan when he was planning the 9/11 attack.
So Malala's story is part of a much larger story, which is about the kind of Islam that will dominate in the future in the Middle East. It will be a moderate, open version of Islam, or a narrow-minded version stuck in the 7th century.
The future of many people in the Middle East hangs on that question, especially those of young women like Malala.
Before we get to the event that made her famous, let's take our second musical break. And in honor of the Taliban, who tried to, quote, ban that boogie sound, I figured we should listen to The Clash. That's Rock the Casbah from 1982.
This was Rock the Casbah by The Clash. Welcome back to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS. I'm Janet Alurad.
And I am Philippe Girard. We both teach in the history department at McNeese State University. And today we're exploring the life of Malala Yousafzai, a young woman from Pakistan.
In 2008, when she was just 11, the BBC had an unusual idea. They figured that it would be interesting to cover the rise of the Taliban from the ground level by asking a young person to write a blog about daily life in the Swat Valley of Pakistan.
The idea of writing a blog about the Taliban was so dangerous that no one was willing to take on the task. In the end, the only person who put her name forward was Malala, then just 11 years old.
And there was much to cover. In the region where she lived, the Taliban banned television, music, and female education. They razed over 100 girls' schools to the ground.
The blog of Malala was supposed to be anonymous for safety reasons, but she also appeared on TV and radio to speak out against the Taliban ban on female education, and eventually her cover was blown.
Speaking out was very courageous on her part, but it worked. The Taliban backed out a little and allowed Malala and her friends to go back to school to finish the school year.
That victory made her quite famous nationally in Pakistan, and so she won the National Peace Award for Youth in Pakistan in 2011.
This would be a heartwarming story of peaceful activism if we stopped here, but unfortunately Malala's life took a tragic turn a year later.
We'll cover this and more after we return from our third musical break. It's a rather unusual song at the nexus of Egyptian music and Jamaican reggae. The song is called El Leila Ya Samra, and that's a collaboration between Mohamed Munir and the old band of Bob Marley, the Wailers.
It's an Emperor production. Sure. Rastafari. Africa.
Illila, illila, illila ya samra, ya samara, illila ya samra. Samurai.
Jamaica.
This was El Leila Ya Samra by Mohamed Munir and the Wailers.
Welcome back to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS. I'm Janet Aluret.
And I am Philippe Girard. Today we're retracing the life of the young Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai.
By 2012, she had become a national celebrity in Pakistan for standing up to the Taliban and leading a campaign to keep schools for girls open.
You would think that an international terrorist group like the Taliban would have bigger fish to fry than preventing a 15-year-old teenager from going to school.
For a Muslim fundamentalist, the most dangerous person in the world is a girl with a book.
Indeed. So in the summer of 2012, Taliban leaders met secretly and decided to kill her.
On October 9th of that year, as Malala was traveling back from taking an exam, a gunman boarded her bus. He asked which one of the girls on the bus was Malala, and then he shot her.
One of the bullets went through her head, her neck, and her shoulder.
Amazingly, she survived. She was flown to a military hospital in Peshawar and from there to Britain, where she underwent more operations.
The attack made headlines in Pakistan. Some moderate clerics issued a fatwa denouncing the attack, but the Taliban tried to justify what they had done, saying that under the Quran, quote, people propagating against Islam and Islamic faith should be killed, and that would include children.
Fortunately, it seemed, a majority of people in Pakistan sided with the moderates over the fanatics. There were protests in many cities, a massive petition campaign, and the government eventually passed the first right to education law in Pakistan.
The government also offered $100,000 for the capture of the assassins of Malala, and eventually 10 men were arrested, tried, and convicted. That may seem like progress, except that most of the men were discreetly released after their conviction.
Shaking my head. The outcry over the attack was not just felt in Pakistan itself, but throughout the Middle East and the world. Malala became a symbol for all those opposed to the reactionary interpretation of Islam, which is one of the defining issues of our time.
So something good came out of that terrible assassination attempt. We'll get to the international impact after we listen to our next song, that is Salma Ya Salama, which was originally composed in 1919. The theme is nostalgia for one's homeland. This version is much later, it's from 1977, and it is sung by the French-Egyptian singer Dalida.
في الدنيا الكبيرة وبلادها الكتيرة لفيت 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 ولما ناداني حبي الأولاني
Welcome back to KBYS, Macnis Radio. This was Salma Ya Salama, sung by Dalida. My name is Philippe Girard.
And I'm Janet Alluret. You're listening to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS. Our program normally covers the lives of important women in history. Today's figure, however, is an important woman, but also unusual in that she is still alive and she is extremely young.
We're talking about Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani teenager who insisted on her right to go to school, stood up to the Taliban, and was shot as a result.
After the assassination attempt, Malala moved to the UK for medical treatment and then settled there with her family.
Somehow the story of the teenage girl who was shot by fundamentalists for going to school struck a nerve globally. She quickly became an international symbol.
Angelina Jolie gave money to Malala's foundation. Madonna dedicated a song to her. You name it. She was the cause celeb of the day.
And in 2013, she met Queen Elizabeth II. Then she spoke at Harvard University. And then she had a private audience with President Obama and, of course, his two daughters.
She even addressed the United Nations. The UN called the day Malala Day in her honor.
And the accolades kept pouring in. She received a long list of prizes, including an honorary doctorate from King's College and the Sakharov Peace Prize from Russia.
The biggest of those honors came in 2014 when she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts on behalf of children's education. She became the youngest Nobel recipient ever.
Not bad for a 17-year-old.
Pretty good. She's had enough things happen in her life that she's already written her autobiography. It's entitled, I Am Malala, the story of the girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban.
In case you're interested in learning more about her, there's also a documentary called Name Me Malala.
All this is a work in progress since she is still very young, so there's no telling what she may accomplish in the future.
Yes, we might have to do another program at some point, 30 years from now. The success of her campaign is also up and ended. She's done much to publicize the cause of female education in Pakistan, but she still has local opponents who accuse her of being unfaithful to their interpretation of Islam or even to be a secret CIA spy.
Also, her book was banned in many schools in Pakistan for fear that it would have a negative influence on the youth by giving a bad image of Islam. Apparently, the only thing more dangerous than a girl reading a book is a girl writing a book.
Stay tuned then. The battle for gender equality and religious tolerance is far from over in our world. We'll end our program with one of the songs written in her honor. This particular one is sung by 3 teenage girls and was performed in Oslo when Malala received her Nobel Prize. And the song is called I Am Malala.
Proud. One day we'll say things loud and be free. With the power of speech, we can change our world and how it's perceived. We've got doubts and beliefs, but no one thing's truly out of our reach. Don't tell me the sky's the limit, cause nothing can pull me down when I dream. I'm working on turning them to a reality and opening eyes and sharing a vision with every person who I chose to be blind. I wanna focus their minds and show that despite we're broken inside, we can stand powerful together without a cloak or disguise. I hope in the future that I can look back on a new generation that's peaceful, that's grateful, they're equal. Cause those before me to change for the people with paints and an easel. We picture perfect, you are attention to making the most of our time, creating more than useless inventions. I'm only young, so I guess it's down for you to decide. Would you choose to fight for what you believe in? Would you do what is right if I needed you? Would you stand tall with me right here by my side? Be the change you want to see. Take a look through my eyes. I am alive.
The smarter the girl, then the stronger our world. From a country where we made fortunes of others' misfortunes and betray our own people, then we mourn for proportion. Now time always sought to fight for my rights. Malala fought for education and she fought for her life. It's hard to strive to be better when oppressed by the suppressors, treated like the lesser. Just be clever, ignore the ignorant that's fuel to the fire. How can somebody young like me even find any truth when nobody's looking for truth in the youth? Life isn't a choice, so who are we to say what's void? Then Malala gave a voice to me, cause I am Malala. I am infinite hope. I am Malala. I am Malala. I am infinite hope. I am Malala. Hard work and talent equals infinite growth. In school, a child and a teacher equals infinite hope.
That was I Am Malala. You are listening to KBYS, the McNeese Radio. I am Janet Alured.
Et je suis Philippe Girard. Merci and thank you for joining us. This has been Your Grandma Rocks and a special program on the Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai, who was the inspiration for the song we just heard.
This program was funded by a Juliet Hartner Grant for Women in the Humanities. For more information on how to help finance fellowships at McNeese, contact the foundation at 337-475-5588.
And this program was also sponsored by the History Department of McNeese. To apply, contact the admissions office at 475-5504.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.